In this block of fundamentals, we're going to be looking at basic mounts. There are a number of different mounts, but we're going to examine 5 of them in detail because these are the ones that are going to lead us most often into our cuffing situation. Clinch, throw, mount, lock. You have to have that little mantra in your mind where you can say it in your sleep, say it instantly, fast, in one breath. Clinch, throw, mount, lock. You get a clinch. The clinch will lead you to a throw. The throw will lead you to a mount. And the mount will determine what locks are available to you to get control of your opponent. The mount aspect is control of the core of your opponent. You don't have a mount until the chest, stomach area, or the solar lunar plexus, the rib cage, the hips are under your control. A mount controls this portion of your opponent's body. Everything that's sticking out from the core is going to involve locks. What we're after right now are concepts that give us control of the torso of our subject. The most basic concept of mount comes right out of the playground. You can remember this from the 3rd grade, the first time you had an argument on the playground and somebody climbed on your chest and held your hands down. Well, we're going to modify that a little bit because that's not real good for our purposes. Full mount, in Japanese is tate shihogatame. The shihogatame hold downs, when you say gatame, you're talking about a hold down. Shiho has to do with 4 points of contact with the ground. All of these shihogatames, and we'll examine a couple of them in the course of this instruction. I want 4 points of contact with the ground in the process of controlling my opponent. Tate is simply the Japanese term for my head's facing the same direction he is, so most of the time you're not going to be using that terminology. We're looking at full mount. Full mount is where my legs are on either side of my opponent. I want my knees as far up on his body as I can get, so I get past his hips. I don't want him to have his hips underneath my hips because then he can start to upset my balance and get me off of him. So as I scoot up, I'm trying to get my hips right in the middle of Brian's stomach. And he's getting this funny look on his face like, I can't breathe. And that's what we want. I want some weight down on his breathing mechanism, pushing his guts up into his diaphragm so that he's got to breathe from up here and he can't get any good oxygenation. The other thing I'm doing is I'm squeezing Brian's chest a little bit with my thighs, and I'm not really sitting down, but I'm sort of like riding a horse. I'm keeping my legs in control so the horse isn't bouncing me around, but I've got my legs wrapped around the horse's ribs. I've also got my toes tucked in. And now, instead of holding Brian's hands down like this, which is a very, very simple thing to defeat if you're the guy on the bottom, I'm going to make his whole day by putting my chest right on his face. And I'm going to spread my hands out so they're kind of like the outriggers on a sailing boat, so no matter what way he shoves me, I've got a point of support. I'm also going to leave my arms really flexible so that if he tries to get a hold of them, I can just move him out of the way and he can't get a secure grip to begin to roll me off. So, full mount, I want my knees in his armpits. I want to be squeezing his chest slightly. I want to tuck my toes under his hips so he can't get a hold of them. I'm going to put some weight down on his breathing mechanism. Then my chest goes right in the middle of Brian's face. I'm actually pressing down with my chest, keeping my weight backwards. And my hands are out here for outriggers so that he can't roll me off easy. I just want to be shifting my weight, keeping my weight down on my subject. And if you notice, there is no violence here at all. I'm just controlling Brian And given a high stress situation, most of the people that I've been on the ground with are exhausted inside of 30 seconds of trying to deal with a good mount. I've had guys come into the dojo with third-degree black belts in Taekwondo, and the first time they wind up under me on a mount, it's only 30 seconds when they're completely exhausted and tapping out. No locks, no punches, just real simple control of your opponent. This gives you maximum control. In sport jiu-jitsu, you get 4 points for attaining this mount. So, understanding it again, tuck my feet under his hips. I've got my legs squeezing a little on his chest, putting a little weight down on his breathing mechanism. Chest goes right into his face, and now I just outrigger with my hands so that no matter which way he sends me, I've got points of balance to maintain my position on top of my opponent.